How does strategy at Tesla look like? Today's guest is Joe Justice. Joe is best known for building a race car using agile methods at Wikispeed, and of course his work at Tesla, where he ran the agile program. I'm happy to discuss with him about life, strategy, and everything. Welcome, Joe.
Marcus, fancy to see you now. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this. Any words of introduction for our viewers?
So, Joe, you've been at Tesla, you've worked with Microsoft, you had or have a super successful EV racing team in Japan, right? How is your Japanese going right now?
Wow. When I work in Germany for 10 days, I'll start to connect words. I'm nothing like fluent. I don't mean that, but I'll start to pick up words, connect words, and I'll be listening to a radio in a taxi because I don't have a car in Germany right now, and I'll start to notice things and have some guess of what they're talking about on the radio, um, and some things just make sense, like Flugplatz, okay, flight place, airport. I can kind of get it.
Yeah.
I don't have that experience in Japan. I don't just connect words. I don't just pick things up. I have to really rigorously study them before I can hear them. I
Yeah.
really, there's a word for it in Japanese, maru maru, and it
Hmm.
means circle, circle,
Uh-huh.
maru, maru, circle, maru, maru, circle, circle, and it's all you hear is maru, 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 maru. Like you just don't even hear what the word is.
Uh, so what does it
And
mean?
I'm especially slow. Well, maru just means circle, but
Uh,
that's what you say for when you don't comprehend whatever the word actually was. You don't
ah.
even hear it. Or at least I don't. Some people have gifts for languages, and I think I'm especially slow. I was trying to learn duck, and of course, there's more than one way to say duck, right? But I was trying to learn duck. I really studied that word, I think, like studied it more than 100 times.
Uh-huh.
And now I think I got it, and I think I can hear it. But like trying to get to your 10,000 word vocabulary,
It's
it's
immense.
not coming so naturally. I'm exceptionally quick at some things. I've had enough experience on the global stage to realize I've got some talents.
Yeah.
I've realized learning Japanese is not one of my natural and fast talents, but still I persevere.
Awesome. Yeah, I was working in Japan for a couple of weeks. I was invited to Wakoshi, to the Rigni Institute in Tokyo, back then in university times. And I really enjoyed it there, right? So, not being just the tourist, but being invited by the Japanese colleagues, going out for dinner. I had no way of like only in 5 weeks learning any of that language. And even going out for food, I was like, you have all these windows with all the food and the names. So I took a photo and then went to the machine to like realize what button I need to press in order to get that food, right?
I'm loving the story, though. We'll probably end up coming back to it. What would you want
Maybe.
to make sure these listeners know about solutions or tactics for strategy?
A question that I have is when I look into Tesla and SpaceX, right? We talk about the 1,000 year vision, we talk about limiting KPIs, we talk about using AI, mob AI, things like that. You have your own business operating model with Joe DX. But I wonder, what's the strategy behind, let's say, Tesla to grow? What's behind that? I can see that there's a vision, a 1,000 year vision, like this far goal. How's the steps to get up with a lineup that's spelled sexy? Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y, right? I feel, at least coming from like a more traditional industry world, a more traditional corporate world, there must be a connection between vision and the actual doing of like building rockets, building the Starship, building a Tesla, right? What's the strategy? How is that done at a company like Tesla and SpaceX?
If you're okay, Marcus, I'll try to come at this from two ways.
Please.
One is what I thought I experienced in Tesla, and
Yeah.
then when I visited SpaceX. And now when I research the other Musk companies, Boring Company, Neuralink, X, and then the other angle from like a traditional project management perspective and how you maybe connect the two,
Mhm.
or
Good.
my best guess.
Makes sense.
So I'll try. In a Musk company, it's really like playing a video game.
Mhm.
And I don't game much, almost not at all. I did a lot in college. That was a long time ago. So I'm thinking like World of Warcraft
Mhm.
and World of Warcraft 2, right? But if you can think way back Well, to that style of game, I think that's still really popular. Massively multiplayer online role-playing games, I think, are still really popular.
Yep. Like there's
Sometimes
Minecraft
the
today and other ones. Yeah.
yeah,
My
yeah,
my kids play those right now, so it's
yeah, Minecraft servers, I
yep.
guess, are can be MMORPG experiences,
Yeah.
and Minecraft Dungeons maybe is. I've never played Dungeons.
Anyway.
But the idea of an MMORPG, sometimes there's patches and updates that try to stabilize things or change the gaming economy or balance the monsters or different types of players or whatever, nerfs to, reduce the power of some item. But many times it's hands off and the people just self-organize. They
Hmm.
make their own clans. They make their own, sometimes, many times, economies.
Hmm.
They make their own microeconomies. They make their own missions. They make their own guilds. They make their own crafts, depending on the game world. That's the model Musk is using.
Hmm.
So the idea is make the score clear and try to make it fair
Hmm.
and let people play. Then continuously encourage intensity. Maybe intensity is not the right word. Urgency.
Hmm.
Continually encourage mission-based urgency and try to make it sustainable. And actually, I think that it's more sustainable than the press would
Yep.
often report, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
I actually found it to be fairly sustainable, and
Yep.
the general media makes it sound like it's totally unsustainable. My
Totally
opinion, I
crazy.
thought
Yeah.
it was fairly sustainable. But there is a drive, and I do think sense of urgency is just right. And there's a lot of encouragement of that.
Yep.
There's a lot of encouragement to try to be urgently focused on winning this game or making progress in this game. And this game is that 10,000 year goal.
Hmm.
And exactly as you said, the stack up of metrics towards it. Well, how many grams is a Raptor engine right now? Well, how many grams are the valves on the Raptor engine? How many seconds does it take to machine one of these valves?
So those are these
And
metrics I would also see on that like dashboard, the justice board, the like main AI driven board that these companies are using, right? Okay.
And just like a good MMORPG, the feedback, the scores, the points are real time and automated. In
Hmm.
an MMORPG, it doesn't scale if you have a back office with people actually writing in paper to report players' scores. It doesn't scale. You could
Yeah.
do that for a really small game, and a lot of really small companies do that for their employees.
Hmm.
If you're going to try to colonize Mars, you invest in automated scorekeeping, just like an MMORPG.
Hmm.
And I really think that's a big part of why I felt like I was having so much fun working in Tesla. It really was
Like playing a video
like an
game.
MMORPG. And I think like a good one. I mean, I like cars and I like electronic stuff. I like electricity. I like thinking I'm trying to improve the
Yeah.
world and transition civilization to sustainable energy. I like believing in
Yeah.
that mission.
Yeah.
So it was a very satisfying game to play. So that's this one plan, innovation trajectory is the stack up of metrics towards the 10,000 year goal.
Hmm.
Well, how do you get a 10,000 year goal? That I think is inspiration. Musk said he got it from reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy after reading many religious and philosophical books. Okay, well, all right.
Maybe I should ask him into the show, right? with a
You
with
definitely
a
should.
with a
I
link
will watch
to
that recording also.
to this to the idea of the show. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, then I'll try to connect this to traditional project management,
Okay.
if you don't mind, Marcus.
Please.
I was just teaching an online course today on trying to connect traditional project management towards 10,000 year goals and the Justice Board and mob AI teams, 3, 4, or 5 humans assisted by AI, improving one of those KPIs that stack up to the 10,000 year goal. And I created a set of mini games, and two of my business partners contributed a lot.
Yeah.
Here, I'll share my screen. I'm sure you weren't planning on me sharing a screen. That's
That's
totally
true.
cool. Thank you.
It's awesome.
This graphic
Yeah.
is trying to connect agile methods all the way to the 10,000 year goal. And there's this 15-minute mini game to check what your vision might be.
Hmm.
And it's a game, and it may or may not give you the right answer, but I think what it does do well is get you unstuck.
Hmm.
Then there's a 15-minute mini game of who are your supporters in your company, who might pay for the thing if you need money,
Hmm.
who are the government auditors that have to say it's legal to use, who are the key gatekeepers, who are the key personas, and the users, and etc. Then if you're going to use stories that include test and release,
Yeah.
what's the story for each of those personas? So I think this is the most clear connection to what a lot of people think of as agile. As one of these personas, I can do or get something so that a value happens. So now we've made the vision come true, one persona at a time for these
Into actual
personas.
user stories that can be worked on. Yes.
And they each include a test, right? Because the test is the persona got that value or could do that thing. That's part of the vision. And when you do that, you might then change the vision because if you write the user stories, you might realize, actually, this isn't very inspiring. Let's change the vision and go through the loop again. And then those user stories, at least the ones you like, we try to prioritize them.
End up prioritized. Yeah.
And if you need to make a release plan, and I hope you don't, I
Hmm.
think it's not valuable, but other people might require it in order to
Hmm.
fund you.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not in a position to self-fund.
Yeah.
We need to apply inside our company's annual budget process or pitch to investors or our bank or whatever. You can make a release plan to try to build confidence. The end result is an iteration of a product backlog.
Hmm.
And then you can use less or Kanban or Scrum or XP or whatever
Whatever. Yeah.
fits to iterate on that product backlog. And what I was suggesting is play one of these mini games a day, 15 minutes,
Hmm.
and then spend the rest of the time on the right side trying to get it done because that's where all the learning is going to happen
Yeah.
anyway. And that's where all the things on the left will improve. But never stop playing the mini games on the left 15 minutes a day and
Yeah.
never stop doing the stuff on the
Sure.
right, as many minutes or hours as you can.
So
And
which
I
means
think
that.
that connects even an annual budget process
Mm,
towards this. And if the vision connects to 1,000 year goal or even longer,
yeah.
I think this connects the two worlds, or it could. That's my
Mm.
current operating model.
Yeah, I like that. If you play through vision, personas, user stories, I would say especially through this like link from vision to personas, if you play that every week for 15 minutes, that keeps vision in people's head all the time. And you also, as you showed in that loop, you always incorporate the feedback you are getting from the actual product you do, right? So I've seen a lot that this vision is done and then it's stuck for 5 or 10 years, and then there's no iteration, there's no improvement there. Actually, what you're doing here is you kind of bypass strategy, at least in this classical sense, right?
Oh
So
no.
I mean, the way I think is, yes, I do have that vision, 1,000-year vision, 10-year vision, whatever these companies might be doing. At the same time, now you spoke through this release plan to investors, right? For a public traded company, these are shareholders that want to see what's going on, right? So somehow I need to like cut down my vision, my 1,000-year plan into a 5-year target, into a 3-year target, right? And then iterate from there. And that's what's often called strategy, right? And we are super creative. We did OKRs, there's Hoshin Kanri, there are so many tools to like capture this process from vision to an actual plan. But seeing this totally bypasses it. So what you're saying here, talk about vision every day, iterate on vision every day, make it visible for everyone every day, change it a bit if you have to, and then always do this loop through personas, user stories, prioritize, and then do this every week. And that in the end means, at least in that image, hey, we don't need a strategy. So
Maybe being rigorous about executing these mini games is the strategy.
So that's the dedicated time you're spending in playing these games. So our strategy is to play mini games every week.
I hope so. I hope so. Wouldn't that be more fun? Now, in the Musk companies, I think these were really automated away from us. And I liked that. I spent all my time on the right side of the loop, and it really looked like that's what everybody else too did too. I really tried to find some strategy group. I really did, and I never found them.
Okay.
It,
Okay.
it really looked like it was an automated stack up of KPIs to the 10,000 year goal, and really just let you work on playing in the factory, trying to improve KPIs. And it looked exactly the same at SpaceX, 100%. But I think that's a technology investment to make that stack up that many companies haven't done yet.
So this goes into data automation, into AI, into language models to like really get more out of the data that than we would see. Let me still like tie back into this lineup. So when I look into Tesla, right, they started with a Roadster, then they went for the Model S, which is a high priced car, lower volume to like learn and grow. And now and then Model X came, 3 and Y came, which is now targeting like a lower price entry market, right? And in hindsight, that's a strategy, right? So let's go for the high price first and then work towards the lower price models for the mass consumer market. How did that happen at Tesla? If you know,
Oh,
or
oh, yeah.
what's your hypothesis on that like lineup? Let's do Roadster and S first, and then in a couple of years we'll end up with the mass market.
Oh, Marcus, you're so kind to ask. I actually think you know. I'll start saying it, and I think you'll go, "Oh, I know that." I think so.
Let's see.
Um, I think you know this part. Elon wrote what's called the master plan, and he just put it on the website. And he's now written master plan version 2, 3, etc. Well, Elon is the one paying everybody to do this work, right? He's essentially the investor. Other people invest in him, but he is the investor. And Elon wrote the master plan, which is basically a stack of user stories. They're not written in user story format, but we could think of them as a stack of user stories.
Yeah.
And it's as Tesla, I can figure out how to make a reliable and safe electric car, even if it has to be expensive. So necessarily, it will be a low volume sports car. That's the Roadster. And then as Tesla, I will take any profits. I hope we can profit from the Roadster towards a luxury sedan so we can learn how to make a safe and luxurious electric experience, which will be less expensive, but still, out of
High
necessity,
priced. Yeah.
will still be premium price.
Yeah.
And then, as Tesla, we'll use all the proceeds from that. We're not going to disperse them to investors yet. Investors, are you really okay with this? As Tesla, we're going to take all the proceeds from that and any additional investment we can win with any buzz we create with those first two products. And we're going to make a mass market low price car.
And
And
that's in
that
the master plan.
became the Model 3. And then that master plan was updated and refined and changed. A luxury SUV was stuck in between the S and the 3, the Model X, and the Model 3 was found to be an excellent mass market car, but a far better selling mass market car was discovered. I mean, maybe it was already known, but it was inserted in the user story order, the Model Y,
Yeah.
and that evolved into robotaxis, which are to a tiny extent happening already. They're being tested in Texas and
Yeah.
California.
Seen that. Yeah. Seen that media coverage. Yeah.
Well, I saw one at a showroom in Sweden, not driving around, but in a Tesla showroom. Actually, I saw the sign said coming next week. And I was like, I'm not here next week. So there's the
That's a
sign
pity.
saying the Roadster,
The Robotaxi is coming
the
next week.
cyber taxi, yeah, Robotaxi will be here next week. So I almost saw it in Sweden,
Almost.
actually. But we could think of those, I think, as I mean, you could say the epics and themes and all. We could get really agile, nerdy
Yeah.
vocabulary
We don't
about
have
it.
to.
But here, I'll just say the user stories
Right.
in the product backlog, and that's the master plan. So how it's that strategy, and I think that's where when you have an engineer that wants to solve a problem using engineering, and they also have control over when finances are released,
Hmm.
you get that very naturally.
Hmm.
A problem, Steve Jobs calls it a problem, Elon Musk calls it a problem. A sickness is when you have MBAs running a company, basically sieving off sieving off money for themselves and their friends, and they're not trying to solve an engineering problem. They're trying to maximize value to stakeholders. Well,
Hmm.
guess what happens? We get really slow at solving engineering problems, and we get really good at sieving off money to stakeholders or to shareholders.
I think I hear two things, right? One thing is, yes, this waterhead that's been built around that shareholder satisfaction, shareholders invest and they want something back. I'm just reminded of that. I've been working for an online printing company, Simpress Vistaprint, a couple of years ago. And the CEO, super smart guy, at one point changed the shareholder model from short invest into long invest. So you only get something back when you invest more than 5 years. Right? And that instantly had a market drop or a share drop because all the short-term investors went out. But for the company, I think that was the best thing to do because it kept investors on board. And the company continues to grow. They've been buying small print shops all over the place, super successful. So I think this is one thing I'm hearing to make sure that shareholders are okay in reinvesting into growth and not reinvesting into shareholder value. The other thing, which I try to tie back to our strategy topic, is what you're saying is all it needs is a smart guy or smart lady writing a master plan. Is it
I
is
actually
it
think so.
is it really that simple?
And I think that moment of inspiration, that moment of clarity, at noon or at midnight or whatever, is really all it takes to
Oh.
have the master plan. And it was 3 items long, right? There were three deliverables.
Mm.
Then you spend as much, you know this too, right? You
Yeah.
spend as much time as you can on the right
Yeah.
side of the loop.
Yeah.
How do you actually do that?
Yeah.
How do you actually make any of those come true? Which is, nearly impossible. That's why that's why the companies are so satisfying. When you actually get one of these nearly impossible things done, well, the energy released in all the people is huge.
Yeah, it's
So
massive. Yeah.
then you have a
I
chance of
know
getting the
that.
next one done.
I know that. So
You're right.
once you have this launch of that platform of that machines running and you get the first product out, it's intoxicating for everyone. It's
And
it's
that's
really fun.
truly why I have almost no respect for strategy. So it's funny that I'm here on the strategy
No
podcast.
respect for strategy. No, it's I mean
Very, very little. Very, very little.
it's as we said, it's a hitchhiker's guide. So it like brings different perspectives together, right? So and there's also of course this I have no respect for strategy section.
Well,
It's
one of the very little. I'll
very
give
little, very
myself
little.
some
Yeah,
wiggle room.
it's
Some
cool.
wiggle room.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm working with a client right now, and we are in the midst of a strategy building process, and it takes weeks and months of preparation and data, and it's fun work because like diving into all these topics that I have no clue of is great. At the same time, you are saying, hey, all it takes is a shower at the right moment, the walk with your dog, the snowball fight with your kids, with that one inspiration. It's a three-liner plus what you've shown, right? This total data model, this AI-driven stack of KPIs, and the heavy focus on execution. I think this master plan is not enough. You need to invest into this growth machine. Let's call it that way. Stack of KPIs, highly automated. And what you've also said, I want to stress that again because that's one of these agile core values. You said the engineer needs a high autonomy on spending money and on the choices he or she makes. And I think that's what sometimes got forgotten in this like agile bubble. Now we say agile is dead because we might have over controlled agile to an extent.
Mid podcast, I'm going to welcome my kids home.
Okay.
Papa's recording a podcast, so I'll be talking for a few more minutes. I'm so happy you're here. You can say hi. This is my friend Marcus.
Hi. Hiding.
Oh, you don't have to get on camera.
It's fine. Awesome.
We're keeping it real. I lost cognizance
No, it's fine.
of the last 60 seconds.
I was saying that we might have over controlled agile in the past because we tried to bring this execution into a control loop. So, and with that, we took away autonomy from the people actually doing the work. Annual budgeting cycles, we make them write reports at the end of the year. We make them like do PowerPoints for executives instead of empowering them to actually do their work and empowering them to make the best choice for the company.
I would like to build on that,
Yeah.
Marcus. So there's, I think, two gaps between the agile I thought I knew and what I think Elon is doing, what I think I experienced working in the company, that are connected to what we just talked about. I mean, there's more gaps,
Yeah.
sure, or differences, but two right here. One is a lot of agilists empower people without them being able to see how well they're doing in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a part of some agile transformations where budget is put in a pool and the staff is told, do something good for the company with this budget.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, and some pretty big companies, and the people say, well, what do you want us to do? And they say, we're agile now. You figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that has some good results. It definitely has some interesting results, but that's definitely not what Elon's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Elon is saying, here is the master plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like us to make progress
So
on it as
these are the
efficiently and
boundary
as fast
conditions,
as
right?
possible.
So the master plan gives the boundary conditions.
And
Don't
it's
start.
prescribed.
Yeah. Don't
You
start.
don't
Do
get to
something else.
say, let's start selling Tesla candy.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elon has specific goals that he wants everyone to help as quickly and efficiently as possible. And you have infinite freedom on how you try to improve
Mm-hmm.
the steps towards those goals, but you definitely don't get to change those goals.
Yeah.
You can request changes. You can vote up ideas on what I now introduce in other companies as the Justice Board.
Yeah.
In Tesla, it was just called the boards, but you
The
can
board,
vote
yeah.
up other ideas. But you don't get to do those if someone else votes them down or if Elon
Mm-hmm.
cans them. Then the other piece is, since I've been alive, as far back as I can remember, somehow it's been normal to think of having finance people at the top of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was true in World War II, just before and just after.
Yeah,
I
there
think
were
the person at the
engineers
top of the
and
company
yeah.
was someone, I think one of the words people use for it is industrialist,
Yeah.
where they're like, I have a goal. I want a railroad to get from here to there.
Yeah.
And it'll make a ton of money, but I already have a ton of money. I'm doing this because I want goods and people to get from here to there
Yeah.
much more efficiently, more reliably and quickly than they are now. I want this built.
Mm-hmm.
They had like an engineering goal.
Yeah.
And they became railroad barons and they became giant telecoms. And somehow in the whole time I've been alive, there's very little of that. It's assumed instead you have an investment group with people trying to extract money as quickly from the company for as long as possible. That's the goal. The goal of the company is to delight the shareholders.
Yeah.
And
It seems that
that
way. Yeah.
makes less impact on innovation and the company's products than the other model.
Yeah.
So the other thing that suddenly sounds disruptive is just maybe a normal way to think of a company is the company has a goal of something it's trying to achieve, like make a railroad connect from here to here, or make basically a space railroad from Earth to Mars and back. It has this goal and it has no profit motive at all. Now, that's such an audacious goal and it's such a useful thing that money just dumps out of it at a scale that people are not used to thinking.
Yeah, that's
It breaks the financial model that
breaks the
any
model,
MBA was coached in.
Yeah.
but it's because no one's after a balance sheet. And that's really important. So it's not like you give the engineer freedom to use the money. The owner is an engineer and they're in the engineering.
Mhm.
So there's no delay in making a PowerPoint to the owning financial group that doesn't understand your engineering because there is no owning financial
There's
group that
no
doesn't understand your
translation needed
engineering.
into financial speak, or it's just tech speak all the way through.
And this is why the master plan has evolved faster than any of the other. Can you call Tesla automotive? I mean, batteries, solar, robots, I don't know, but faster than any of the legacy automotive that we
Yeah,
were used to comparing this to. I
yeah,
mean, like, what was Mercedes' goal when Tesla was founded in what, 2003? And what's its goal now? I think it's the same. What was Toyota's goal in 2003 and Toyota's goal now? Mitsubishi, Nissan, Honda,
whoever.
Renault. It's
Yeah,
but what's Tesla's goal? Well, the master plan now is quite different. And
it
here's one of the
evolved.
steps.
It evolved over time.
So
Yeah.
Musk is trying to build this mass market electric vehicle as step three of the master plan. And by that, I mean like actually in the engineering,
Mhm.
12 hours a day in the engineering and trying to not run out of money and using agile finance and all the stuff we agilists would like,
Yep.
right? And in the engineering, there's real-time analytics coming back from the cars, just like you'd expect from any phone game. You know, are people playing it? How long are they playing it? Where do they click? Where don't they tap? Well, the cars are sending the best analytics they have already. And people are already asking, why is your car connected to the internet all the time? It's a car. Why do you need that? And Elon's like, actually, it's more like a laptop with wheels.
Yeah.
So analytics are coming back. And like happens in any car, eventually there is an accident. Someone falls asleep driving their Model S and they hit a bicyclist.
Mm.
And the analytics of that accident come back in. And I was not there when this happened, but Elon talked about it. And this is what I think I heard. The people seeing the analytics stream come in are, oh my gosh, of course we knew this would happen someday. This is so tragic. This
Mhm.
is awful. Is there anything we could do to make this less likely in the future?
To happen. Yeah.
And they all agreed, yeah, we think there is. We think we can have some type of user assist in the event the driver falls asleep. This became V1 of autopilot. What
Mhm.
they did is they took the automated testing where the Teslas would drive themselves over a set of bumps, and there's a microphone in the car to say
Yeah.
how noisy it actually in the car when you go over these different
Yeah.
types of road surfaces, and it drives itself into a car wash and it goes through some final prep testing. Even in the beginning, Tesla did that
Yeah.
automatically, but it was like scripted. It was pretty simple. They said we can adapt that script just enough at least to handle this you fell asleep and hit a bicyclist situation.
Mhm.
We can reduce that even with just our car prep
Yeah.
cycle automation. And
With a small addition to
since
the live software.
so
Cool.
autopilot came from the car prep software
Nice.
stack, the automated testing software stack,
I didn't know
factory
that.
mode. It came from
That's
factory
a
mode.
cool story. Yeah. Didn't know that.
Well, Elon's there. He's helping do this. He's
Yeah.
helping try to write the code. He's helping try to update the firmware and realizes there's a potential path towards autonomy.
Mm.
Automotive autonomy is always a dream,
Mm.
but it wasn't part of the master plan. It wasn't thought to be achievable in the near term. Well, instead of a traditional company where some engineer realizes this is in the possible outcome set and then files a report that may or may not ever get funded, and it's reviewed a year later ahead of next year's budget prep session, blah, blah, blah. Well, Elon is in the engineering and has complete authority over the budget in real
Mm.
time and says, we should really make a play on this. We should really try. Success at autonomy is one of the possible outcomes.
Yeah.
We should race towards that.
And
So
that
you have no
became a part of the
delay in
master plan.
evolving the
Yeah.
master plan.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that's
Awesome.
only doubled down. Well, now it's this self-driving is already pretty good in most
Yeah.
situations. Can we put it in a humanoid robot?
Yeah.
And can we now connect
Next
it
step.
to
Next step.
Grok?
Next
It's
step.
become
Yeah.
XAI.
Awesome. Yeah. Well.
Well, that's because there's no investors to pitch. I mean, Elon has investors, but he communicates to them in the mission. not the product plan.
There's a
It's not you're investing in the next Roadster, which has been moved down in priority again.
direct
It's
feedback loop.
here's the mission, here's
Yeah.
the 10,000 year goal you're investing in. And look, I'm never going to give a dividend and pay you out. I'm going to put it all back into the 10,000 year
Yeah.
goal. And the investor set is like, yeah, that's what we want.
Cool. Joe, I want to honor your time. Your kids came home. You told me before, hey Marcus, I need to make dinner for my kids, and I really, really want to honor that. I think I could go on for like at least another 2 hours. The discussion is really awesome, right? You talked about gamification. You said it's more like a multiplayer RPG, which I like. I have to think about that idea more. We talked about the master plan, that it's all it might take is like one good plan, 3 steps, and then give autonomy. I think that's the third thing we talked into is like boundaries create freedom. Like the master plan give the rail left and right, but within that engineering has a freedom. So I think these are 3 super cool topics that I can easily link to strategy. I'll make sure to make something with no respect for strategy or little respect for strategy. I think I'll make some visual. Maybe I can make a goodie out of it, send it to you. Joe, it was super fun talking to you. Nice to having you on the show. I wish you a fun evening with your kids. And yeah, next time you're around, give me a call. I hope we can, maybe without a podcast, continue the discussion.
Well, good morning to you then. And I just recently got booked to do 2 live classes in Germany in June. They're with the company Andrina. So if anyone listening wants to hang out with me live and have a coffee before or maybe a beer after, I'd enjoy that very much.
The discussion with Joe really made me pause. I thought, what have I learned these past 15 years? What's happening here? What stuck with me are 3 words: gamification, master plan, investment. Imagine work feels like playing Warcraft, like you are actually in a multiplayer RPG. It's kind of the gamification of strategy execution. But how is that gonna help us? In World of Warcraft, the player has ultimate freedom within set boundaries. She can build a house, form a community, trade goods, etc. Everything within the rule set of the game. Translate this into the world of Tesla, then you get setting boundaries with a master plan, which is nothing more than a set of user stories, and then giving full autonomy and budget to the engineers to actually achieve the vision. And that's it. There's no PowerPoint reports, no translating into executive speech. Set the rules, enable agility, and get out of the way. Wow, that's powerful. The last, investment, is as crucial. What Joe said is massively invest into growth and not into shareholder value. Tesla, from the start, built a fully integrated KPI stack with intelligent data analysis that automates decision making. That really gives power to the people actually doing the work and speeds up everything.